Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. Another great edition of Bring It in the House podcast show where we spotlight musicians, entertainers, artists, and leaders. Get your meal. And I'm your host, Millie Mills. Another great show, as I said, in 2026. This is my second show. Yeah. And wanted to say before we get started, Miss Dee Freeman, actress Dee Freeman, was scheduled to be with us tonight, but due to some circumstances, she's not going to be able to make it. So, guys, please keep Dee in your prayers tonight. We love you, Dee. All right. So, moving on with the show, we're going to do, I guess, a couple more reruns from 2025. 2025 was a great year for us. And, now we have over 200 episodes. We're pretty proud of that. We're celebrating 200, well, a little over 200 episodes for Bringing in the House. And we hope to bring so much more in the year of 2026. So, yeah, let's go ahead and get started. We're going to, if we have enough time, we'll do a couple of them. We're first going to kick it off, kind of go back and look over the interview that we did with gospel recording artist, should we say award-winning gospel recording artist, the Christianaires, right here on Bringing in the House. We're going to be talking with Paul Porter, looking back on 2025. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. Another great edition of Bring It in the House podcast show, where we spotlight musicians, entertainers, artists, and leaders. Get your meal. And we have a great meal for you tonight. I mean, legendary, stellar, award-winning gospel recording artist, Mr. Paul Porter. Hello, Paul.
Hello. How are you, Millie?
I'm doing great. It's such an honor to sit here before you because, like I said before we started the show, I feel like I've known y'all, most of my life through your music.
Wow. Been doing it a long time.
Yeah, I know. My mom used to love you guys. That's how I really learned about you guys, through my mother. Rest in peace. Back in the 80s, I think the first time I heard you guys. And before I go into my whole story there, I'm going to let you, of course, tell the listeners, where you're from, your alma mater, and all that good stuff, Paul.
Originally, I'm from Detroit, Michigan. A lot of people think I'm a Mississippi boy because a lot of my career was, created in Mississippi. But I was born and raised in Detroit, Michigan. My father was a pastor. My mother was a prayer warrior. And they raised 6 kids in Detroit, Michigan. Then at 17 in Detroit, it was the murder capital of the United States at that time. And my daddy said, I got to get you away from here. He retired from building cars in the Motor City. And we moved back to his homeland of Mississippi, on my mother's land in Sontag, Mississippi. And didn't even have the desire to start a group because we had sang so much in Detroit as children. And my brother moved there first on my dad's and mom's land. And he said, hey, man, why don't we get a group together? And I thought maybe at 17, hey, man, I'm retiring. I'm not doing this no more. And not knowing that it was just the beginning of my career, because after I turned 17 and we started this group with 2 of our cousins from Mississippi, we didn't know we had cousins down there that played so fluently. Mm-hmm. And they were playing R&B music and we were doing gospel music, and we got together and the chemistry was so great, and the rest is history. We started the group.
Wow. So we talking about over 3 decades, right?
Oh, yes, definitely. Christianaire started in 79, I believe. 79, yes. 78 or 79. 78. Mm-hmm. 78. Mm-hmm.
And you're one of the co-founding members, right?
I'm one of the co-founding original. My brother and myself and 2 cousins. The cousins were twins, Arnold and Ronald Brown. They were almost identical twins. I could barely tell them apart, but we got together in the country and started a group. And we started, my cousin Arnold was sick on the sick bed. And at that time, coming from Detroit, I didn't realize I had young depression at 17 because if you can imagine the culture shock from Detroit to Suntag, Mississippi to
Yeah.
the woods. My
To the
father
wood.
built a brand new home there, but it was like dirt road, and I just lost all my friends, the little puppy love I thought I had in Detroit. And so I was miserable and didn't want to be in a group. And my brother, when we discovered our cousins and realized how talented they were, said, okay, let's start a group. And then we still didn't have a name, but my mother was cooking in the kitchen and we were all sitting around waiting for dinner to get ready. And she put some names on a piece of paper. And then so we started putting names on a piece of paper. We got to about 15 names on there, and about, I guess, number 7 or 8 was a name that my mother wrote down there, the Christianaires. And we said, yeah, that sounds like we, and that's when we started the group back in 79, that name.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah. And that name is still just going strong all these years later.
Yes, yes. So some of the members have passed away. And as a matter of fact, we just lost my brother, who was the original member, Tyrone Porter, who was also the Gospel Music Workshop of America Quartet Division. He passed away this past February. This past February, Valentine's Day, was 2 years.
And oh my gosh! Yeah, I was reading that. I saw that your brother Tyrone, and yeah, my condolences. I know that it's difficult.
He was a great visionary. Yeah.
Oh, well, rest in peace to Tyrone. And yeah, so from there, you guys, adopted the name, and it's coined the Christianaires. And can you recall when was your first big debut, when you just knew this is it, man, we're on our way?
Well, when I first heard our record on the radio, we had one album before, and back then they were doing albums. These young kids, the millennials, they probably don't know anything about
albums.
But when we had our first album, it did really well regionally. We were going to different little places like Chicago and going back home to Detroit and different places. But that second album, we went over to Atlanta International after we recorded it in the studio in Bogalusa, Louisiana. And we went to Atlanta International, and what was so unique about that record, in the studio, the producers decided to use strings, live strings. So we had Chinese and black and white playing an orchestra on that second quartet album. If you can imagine a quartet album with an orchestra on it. And we cut a song called Ain't No Way I Can Lose, which was a song I wrote at 17 years old. And we just didn't even know what it would do. And we took it to that record company, Atlanta International Records. At that time, there was an artist named F.C. Barnes and Janice Brown. They had did about 52 weeks as number one on the Billboard with Rough Side of the Mountain. We got over there and they signed us because we had the strings and stuff with the orchestra, but we didn't know what we were doing. And that was the early 80s. And after that, it was, everything started happening. And we left that record company and went to several others. And each album, we grew until we got to the song Two Wings on Chicago, CGI Records in Chicago. And oh my God, it went gold.
Yeah. Now, the late Reverend James Cleveland originally did that song, right?
Yeah, it was a hit for Reverend James Cleveland in 1964. And then the Mighty Clouds of Joy, people don't know, they recorded it and sped it up with another version like, oh, I want two wings, fell. But James Cleveland had kind of a bluesy, slow drag to it. 2 wings. And then several choirs and several soloists sang it in between the 60s and the 80s and the 70s. And we decided to cut it in the 90s as a tribute to James Cleveland, and did not know that it was going to be a big record like that. But I think it sold about 170,000 units on the single tribute to him. Then we reissued it on our album on CGI Records, and it did another 100 and some odd. So we were at around 300,000 units on that song, and it was like, wow, people were calling us everywhere. It was almost like Quartet rock stars. And we were able to purchase a big Prevost bus with 12 beds on it and everything. We're traveling all over the country. And then, at this time, it's past go. It sold over 500,000 units.
Wow, amazing. We're going to let the audience listen to what we're talking about now. I'll let you introduce this gospel smash single.
A big hand praise up to the Lord Jesus. Hallelujah. I'm getting ready to share something with you. If those of you that want to help me praise him, Reverend James Cleveland wrote this song years ago and said, oh Lord, hallelujah. Y'all gonna help me sing it? Y'all gonna help me sing it and say, I want to rain to fill my feet. Said I want to rain, yes, to fill my face. Somebody said to rain, to fly away. The world can't do me no harm. To rain, to fill. Can I get one in this head? Somebody say, you fly away. I guarantee the world can't do it. No harm. Oh, can I say one verse? Listen. Meet me, Jesus, meet me, yes. I don't know about you. I want him to meet me. Where? In the middle of the air. Oh, yes. Lord, help me. He's doing to pass. Help me. I want you to meet me with another. Producer, internet radio host, and program director of GHP Radio. Let's give it up for Gary Houston. Woo-hoo!
Thank you for having me, Billy. Really so happy to see you, and also happy to see you again.
Thank you so much, Gary, for stopping by. It is such a pleasure to see you after all these years. Man, we've been in the same arena for what, about 25, 30 years now?
Yeah, absolutely. We have, got that connection to our buddy Ray, who's passed away. But we got connected back a few years ago, and my good, yes.
Yeah, here we are. Now, we'd like to open up the show with a shout out to your native town. Tell us where you're originally from, Gary.
Okay, well, I'm originally from El Reno, Oklahoma. That's right outside of Oklahoma City. It's about 20 minutes. And I've lived here. I'm born, raised here in El Reno, Oklahoma. Of course, like I said, I'm so close to Oklahoma City. I usually say Oklahoma City because that's where most of my businesses is and everything that I do. So, but yes, that's where I'm from. Believe it or not, here in Okie.
How far is that from the Dallas or Austin area? Do you know?
Now from the Austin area, I would say it would probably be somewhere like, I would say 5, maybe. I know it takes me about 3 hours to get to Dallas. So whatever it takes to Dallas to get to Austin,
Okay. Yeah, so we're looking at about 5.5. Yep.
Yeah.
Congratulations, man, on all your success. Over 25 years in the music production in the genres of jazz, soul, R&B, and hip hop. You should feel real proud of yourself. Congrats.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah.
Mhm.
Labor
Mhm.
of course, I do this. I've been doing this for a lot of years, on the side of my regular jobs, that I do. But yeah, it's amazing to kind of take time and look back and on the time that's passed this, over the years. It's just crazy. I still can't believe it's been almost, I want to say like 20 years or more since my very first music got dropped online, so which is pretty crazy.
It's pretty crazy. So
Mhm.
your first project that you dropped online, what was that called?
It was called The Best of G. Houston. And, it's kind of wild because most people do like best of after they do a whole lot of, collection of music. And at the time when I released that CD, well, I had already had a whole lot of music already recorded. I've done a lot of stuff that I had just been kind of stockpiling. And in fact, when I did the first release, it was like right around about the time, like I want to say like 2002, 2001, and I was just kind of new to putting my music online at that time. So it was kind of wild because they had a service called mp3.com, and actually I was kind of new to getting online too at that point, because I remember I got my very first PC or computer in 2000. And that was, if you remember, that was right before they were saying Y2K is coming.
Yeah, yeah, I remember.
So it was kind of wild. So I was kind of dumped into a whole new way of recording my music and doing things. Because, before I used to do everything analog.
Analog, yeah.
And, I had like my setup. I had my drum machines and different sequencers and stuff. And of course, we did everything on floppy disk and all that kind of stuff.
Sure did.
But yeah, that was the very first time. And a friend of mine who came over here from the UK, his name was Tom Fox. He came over to do a collab with me, and this was right around the same time because he had got a load of some of the music that I've been doing online through the online network, and it was right before I released that CD. And he was a vocalist. He came over because he said he was going to be in the States. He wanted to kind of get with me because he heard something that maybe we can kind of collaborate on. And so we did. We actually did an EP, and the track that we did together, the very first one was called Austin Nights. All right.
Really?
Yeah. So he wrote the lyrics, but of course I had the music. So, but anyway, I sent at that time, what started off to get him to come over to do the recordings with me on that very first Austin Night track. It was the very first time I actually did a collaboration with somebody that I wasn't in the studio with, because at that time, I was burning everything on CDs. So what I did, I burned the instrumental onto the CD, and I actually mailed it to him. We do it by email now, but I actually mailed this, all the way over there.
Yeah.
And then he took it to the studio, and they basically put his vocals on it. They sent it back, and I was amazed of how it came out. It was just really amazing, and it did pretty well, in its little, at that time, he did a lot of promotions over there, from UK all the way to France, and then we got some airplay on some like on the airplanes, when they play the music over the thing, we got some of those playlists and things like that. So it was kind of cool at the time. So
a lot of groundbreaking is what I'm hearing right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what happens when you're a pioneer, because you were in that early phase of it, So gosh, that's such an amazing story, that to see all that development and how far you've come along. This is really great, and your instruments for production, you're so talented. I was reading that you of course it includes guitar, piano, keyboard, synthesizer, drums, digital virtual instruments, etc., and so much more. So when did your musical journey begin for you? Was it like early on in grade school or college, or?
Yeah, it was definitely in school. When I was probably like, I want to say around age 10 or 12, we used to, me and my little brother, we both used to stay with our grandparents whenever our folks would go to work, every day, right? And so at that time, I had an aunt who she played for the church, and she played piano basically, and so she had an organ at the house, and And so right around that time, I was, like I said, I was right around about 10, and I was just kind of really intrigued about this organ thing. You know, I would hear her play, and when she would not, you know, be around, you know, I would always go over there and sit on the chair and just kind of dibble dabble, and I would pick up stuff, you know, like just listening to music on the radio and stuff. So I first had an inkling. I was like, wait a minute, because everybody was like, Gary, you picking up them notes, you know, because I was playing it by ear. And so that kind of led into, you know, Mom, I want to be in the band, you know, in school and and all this. So that's how I got when I got in junior high. I think that's basically when I first got into the school band. And I actually played drums. That's how I started out. Started out as a drummer. Actually, all the way until I graduated from high school, I was actually a drummer along with the band and everything. But at that same time, my senior year, me and two other friends of mine who were that played drums with me, we all decided we want to do something different. So, you know, I bought a little guitar, or my parents did. They bought me a guitar, and Mark was his name, and played the bass, and then of course Marshall Newkirk, he was a drummer, and we got together and put a little band together. Turned out it picked up some singers, you know, auditioned some people, and next thing you know, we're out playing locally here in Oklahoma, going to the colleges and doing what we did then. We was doing like cover songs, like R&B types of songs, so you know, like Bar-Kays, Cameo, that kind of stuff. And yeah, it was really cool, and we did that for at least 2 years until I got I got a scholarship to go to Chickasha USAO, University of Science and Arts. It was an art scholarship because I used to do drawing and all that kind of thing, and which was crazy. And that was just a side hobby. And so anyway, when I ended up going to the college, behold, we end up somehow I got into this thing that they had going up there, a jazz band. They want me to play guitar, you know, with the jazz band. So that became a thing. And next thing I know it, you know, I did the school for about 2 years, and then of course I kind of got dumped into the work world, you know, and I left school for a while and decided that, you know, that I'm going to start, you know, doing me some home recording and stuff. I invested into some home recording equipment, and just kind of took it from there. And that's how I was able to actually all them songs that I collected that I had already had before I put my first release out.
Wow, you had already done the work. See, that puts you ahead of the game in a lot of ways, didn't it? You know, not only, you know, you play instruments, but you draw, you do sketches and everything, which is probably going to lead us to our next subject about the AI coming up pretty soon. Yes, man, it's amazing. You know, like we were talking about earlier, before we launched the show tonight, you and I met all those years ago through a mutual friend. R.I.P. Rest in peace to Mr. Edward McDaniel. I have a photo of him that I want to share so people will know who we're talking about. There he is. Yep, that's Ed. And then here's another picture, a group picture we took together. That was years ago. He's over to my far right, so I guess on the screen it might be to the far left, maybe. Yeah, but that's Ed, and he was, you know, just like you know, you guys were ahead of the game, because when he launched what iTrack Radio, a lot of people weren't even doing internet radio at that time. So
you are so right. Yeah, it was amazing because I remember, you know, Ray. I always call him Ray, of course, you know.
Yes.
Okay, but he would always check in with me, like when he comes home to Oklahoma. You know, he would basically come through town, and this is before me and him connected on doing the radio, but he would always come just to see what kind, you know, I'm still doing the music. You know, he always say, Gary, you still doing that music? I said, yeah, man. And so then he said, well, man, you know, I'm retired now from the service, so I'm ready to, you know, I'm going to do this online radio thing. And I was just kind of like intrigued about it because I didn't know, you know, anything about it. I just heard about people having these online radio networks, and he was like, hey, you want to help me? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. So that's kind of how that kind of got started, because, you know, he knew that I had the skills as far as music production and things like that. So that would have been a big plus in doing it. And yeah, man, if it wasn't for Ray, I don't think I would be doing, you know, what I'm doing now. So, you know,
yeah, that's amazing. How did you guys meet? You and
Well,
Ray.
we met because he he was actually from my hometown, El Reno. So
Mhm.
all his family knows, our family. He was actually my uncle. I have an uncle that's around his age. I think they both went to school together same time. So that's kind of how we knew.
Harry,
each
other.
other.
Yeah. Is El Reno a kind of large city or mid-size?
It's a very small town, actually. It's a small country town out on the outskirts of Oklahoma City. So, so for us, all of us that was raised in El Reno, for us to do anything like some exciting things, we always have to commute to Oklahoma City.
That's how it was in my hometown. You had to get away. I'm from Marvel, Arkansas originally, so it was small, and you had to get away, and you know, you had to venture out if you had big dreams. Yeah. Are you currently? I know you're doing your music, but are you performing and touring anywhere right now, doing live shows? And
No.
if so, okay, I was about to say, if so, are you preparing to do a live show or any performances?
Now I'm not really actually doing any live things right at the moment. I'm basically focusing on doing, just music production, because I have a lot of folks, clients and stuff that has always looking to do, like some new music or videos, of course,
Yeah.
like I've gotten really dragged into this video thing pretty heavy here lately. So that's been kind of keeping me kind of busy. Mm-hmm. But as far as doing some live performance, the last time I did a live performance was at a CD release party. I did a CD release party some time back, and so that was an opportunity for me to get out and do some live stuff, and that's the thing. A lot of people, which is crazy, with all the music that I've done and my music library and everything, I got so much music, which is crazy. But a lot of people always used to ask me, if I would come to their city to play or have you or something like that. But I've never really actually had a band. I've always had to find some guys to play, come up and play. So like here in Oklahoma City, if I ever do have to do any live performing, I have a friend. His name is Walter Taylor III. He's a music director, he's a drummer, and he's basically in with all of your local musicians and artists here in the Oklahoma City area. So anytime I need to, get something, I holler at him and he puts together something and we go out and do our thing. But yeah, it's been a minute. I'm hoping to do something in 26 though. Hopefully something.
Oh, that sounds exciting. We'll be looking out for that tour. Now, Gary, with today's music industry trends, it's so, it's different. You've seen it move in different directions. What inspires you to, to keep making music, to stay relevant out there like that? What drives you with all this competition today?
Yeah, well, what actually drives me is the music. I mean, it's just in my heart. It's just one of those things that I don't know. It's just, if somebody was to do something where I couldn't do the music, I don't know if I would be able to survive. Yeah, it's just something that's in me. It's always been. I mean, I'm always thinking about music. I'm always in projects, doing things like that. So, yeah, it doesn't take too much to sway me.
Yeah, I get it. Yay, I get it. All right. That was the best of 2025. Some of the videos that interviews that we thought were some of the best. So we thank you guys so much for tuning in. So sorry that our guest schedule for this week, she did not make it. This was the episode, of course, for Dee Freeman. She is on BET's Sisters, this season 9 and 10. So hopefully we can catch up with her another time and get her on the show. And next week we'll have some surprise guests. So you have to stick around. You never know what is going to be or who is going to be the next guest right here on Bring It in the House. We love you guys. Thank you so much. We hope 2026 is off to a good start for you. And we pray that you guys have much more to come. So many more blessings right here. And we'll see you next time on Bring It in the House. Thank you so much.